Are you serious? What? Vladimir Putin. Yes. Now, I want to thank Rosemary Kelly for doing some great research this morning out of North Carolina. Folks, the Daily Beast has just brought forth an article that I want you to check out. They brought it out on Sunday, entitled "Putin Threatens with Nuclear War Over the Ukraine." Well, let's listen to what he really said. And as Putin is inching his way into taking over eastern Ukraine. Remember, Putin already went in, invaded Crimea, and took back Crimea from the Ukraine. And now this war that's been raging in eastern Ukraine, Putin has already put 40,000 troops along the border. He's already sent now 5,000 troops are right now in Ukraine fighting against Ukrainians. He has called for a discussion over what he calls the statehood of eastern Ukraine. But he's putting a little muscle behind what he's trying to accomplish. And here's what took place. On Friday, August the 29th, 2014, the Russian Federation tanks and troops poured across the border into eastern Ukraine. Vladimir Putin talked about his country's most destructive weaponry. Quote, "I want to remind you that Russia is one of the most powerful nuclear nations," he said. What has that got to do, Mr. Putin, with all due respect? What does that, we all know Russia has nukes. Why even mention it? Was that a subtle threat? And what does that have to do with the fact that you have troops and tanks and armored vehicles and you've been firing shots across the border at the Ukrainian government soldiers? So you just wanted to remind us, I guess, that Russia is one of the most powerful nuclear nations, he said. Quote, "This is a reality, not just words. Russia," he told listeners, "is strengthening our nuclear deterrence forces." But he's actually speaking about it in terms that would make you think he's using his nuclear weaponry as the threat of being used offensively, not defensively. The same day, Putin used a term for eastern Ukraine, meaning New Russia. So when he refers to repelling any aggression against Russia and speaks of nuclear deterrence, he did all of that on Friday while mentioning New Russia. And eastern Ukraine needs to be discussed about statehood, where they want to be. Do they want to be in Ukraine, or do they want to come and be a part of the new Russia? What he's doing is not creating a new Russia. What Vladimir Putin is doing, he is restoring Mother Russia. And actually, I'll take it a step further. Biblically, he is restoring the Magog territory that is found in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, when those 5 nations and or empires will go against Israel in the great and battle of Gog and Magog. You can read it, the prophecies in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Now the Lord will win. Israel will win because the Lord will fight the battle for them or with them and defeat these 5 nations or empires. Magog, which includes Meshech and Tubal, and Gomer, which are all part of Mother Russia. Also Togarmah, which is Turkey. Also Persia, which is Iran. Also Ethiopia. And that would include the Sudan, because back in those days, Ethiopia was both Ethiopia and Sudan. And the 5th nation is Libya. Now we know radical Islam is running wild in Libya, as they just took over the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli 3 days ago, and they're jumping and they're diving into the swimming pools on CNN. They show that repeatedly over and over and over again, how the ISIS are swimming and diving into the swimming pool at the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli in Libya. So we know that they're in Libya running loose. We know that they're running loose in Ethiopia and the Sudan. We know that Iran is threatening to build nuclear weapons to annihilate Israel. We know that Turkey is now threatening Israel, turning their back on Israel. Even Prime Minister Erdogan said that Israel would swim in its own blood because of its war with Hamas in Gaza. And we know that Russia is not a member of NATO and they're not an ally of Israel, but instead they are an ally with Iran, with Hezbollah, with Assad in Syria, with the Palestinians in Gaza, with the Egyptians, and with China. And how many more do they have to be friends with for you to understand what side this man is on? So I'm not, look, I'm just telling you what the Bible says. The Bible says that the battle of Gog and Magog is coming. And it says that the fowls of the air will eat the flesh of the fallen soldiers in the hills of Judea in Israel. Talking about the enemies of Israel, that the soldiers of Gog and Magog. So, folks, this thing's getting very intense. And for this picture to be the headline story on the Daily Beast should let you understand that we're living in very last days. We're in the end times, and the Lord is coming soon. Are you saved? Something biblical is going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ. Please give your life to Jesus Christ. We're going to talk about this and a whole lot more in our live broadcast today from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. We're on every day, Monday through Friday, from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern at my website, www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. That's www.paulbegleyprophecy.com.